You're listening to the Holistic Spaces podcast brought to you by Mindful Design Feng Shui School, episode 105, 9-star key for 2021. Welcome to episode 105 of the Holistic Spaces podcast, where we hope to inspire, educate, and empower you to create your own holistic spaces that nurture and resonate with you. Angie Cho and Laura Morris are the founders of the Mindful Design Feng Shui School. Together, they have over 3 decades of experience designing harmonious spaces for their clients through articles, books, workshops, podcasts, videos, TV shows, consultations. The list goes on and on. Laura and Angie have guided thousands, maybe millions of people to shift their energy in their living spaces. Mindful Design School offers feng shui courses and certifications. Check us out at mindfuldesignschool.com. So we really hope you'll check out our New Year's program and some of the courses we have. We have a practical feng shui course, usually every month. It's a great way to support the podcast. And also, a lot of people have questions about feng shui. And while we give a lot of this content out, we give out so much education, people still have personal questions. So it's really a great opportunity to ask your personal questions and to get personalized feedback, because Laura and I will personally, we will look at your plan and you can type in any question that you want and we may decide to answer it. No, we'll answer it if it's a good question. Just kidding. We'll answer your question. Okay. So today we have a special episode. We have, why it's special is because our dearest teacher and mentor, Rosalie Prinzivalli, is here. It's kind of impromptu. We have a call with her like every week or so, and we just popped this on her, and she said, yeah, she would do it. So Rosalie Princevali is a feng shui teacher, and she's our mentor and a feng shui expert. And she taught us. We wouldn't be where we are without her. She taught us. And so she's located in New York City, and she's also, I would say, a 9-star key expert. So it really makes sense to have her on this call. And so first of all, like, Happy New Year, and let's say hi to Rosalie. Hi, Rosalie. Oh, we have to unmute you.
Yeah, she's delighted to be here. I don't know if I can live up to that wonderful introduction, but I'll try.
Oh, of course you will. This will be really fun. So we do this every year. We talk about the 9-star key and go over the top line things that you should know for your own 9-star key number. But it's really quite a treat to have Rosalie here. And then Laura, I'm gonna guide Laura and Rosalie, and they're gonna kind of banter back and forth, which will be really fun because I have my 2 Italians going back and forth talking about what you can expect in 2021. So very soon on February 12th will be Lunar New Year, and we will invite in the year of the metal ox. And so we've already done an episode where we talk about that. And if you want to learn more about that, we have our New Year's reset course at mindfuldesignschool.com. And we have a special class on Lunar New Year's Eve that we do live. So hopefully you can join us. And so we've also created another top line review of the overall energy of the year in how it may impact you based on your 9-star key. So besides your Chinese zodiac animal, you have a number associated to your birth year. And this is a system that we use in BTB Feng Shui. It's called 9-star key. And we like to use this not only to understand the chi of a person, but also to help prepare and stay energetically balanced for this year 2021. And it's based on a number system that closely aligns with the 5 elements in the I Ching and Feng Shui. So we're going to start. I'm going to start by teaching you how to calculate your principal number using your year of birth. So basically what you can do is take your year of birth, and you want to add all the digits and reduce it to a single digit. So for instance, if you were born in 1986, you would add 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 6, which equals 24. And then, so that's 2 digits, and you would further reduce that to a single digit. 2 plus 4 is 6. So when you have the single digit, then you will subtract that single digit that you received, which comes from your birth year, and you're going to subtract it from 11. So 11 minus 6 is 5. So if you were born in 1986, your principal number is 5. Now, if you were born between January 1st and February 4th, you want to subtract it from 12. Okay. And if you have more questions about that, be sure to check out our show notes or our blog, because we'll have this all in writing. So it's a little bit easier. But I'll give one more example before we get started. So say you were born in 1940. 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 0 is 14. So that's 2 digits. So we're going to reduce it. 1 plus 4 is 5. And then you subtract that from 11. So 11 minus 5 is 6. So if you were born in 1940, you are a 6. And remember, if you were born between January 1st and 4th, you want to subtract from 12. Okay. That was kind of the boilerplate stuff. Rosalie, was that good? You approve?
That was good. I explained it a little bit differently, but that's okay. You did a great job.
Thank you.
You had me stumped for a minute. I had to think about what you were saying.
Laura also does it differently too. We all do it differently, right?
That's fine. It all works. It's just math. It's good. Works.
Okay. So again, go on the blog if you need more support, but we're going to just jump into each number. And also, P.S., this is really fun and very informative to do with all your family members and friends to figure out what numbers they are so you can start to learn more about them. And personally, for me, it's helpful because it helps to create compassion for other people's situations, to give you some more insight on what they may be going through this year and how you can support them. Right, guys? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it brings more awareness. I always tell clients, if I use this, when I do use 9 stars, it's not about being right or wrong. It's not about there's no good star, there's no bad star. It's really just awareness about learning a little bit more of your elemental makeup and what kind of energy you have. That's it. It gives you awareness just so you can go through life, maybe knowing a little bit more.
And I'd like to add something here, because I think that's a really good point. One way that I've always found it to be very helpful is doing consultations and looking at the numbers of the husbands and the wives, the couples, and see how, because ultimately, this is all about the 5 elements. And once you know the elements, then you kind of understand how people relate to one another. It can also help you to figure out, as a consultant, what element to bring into the life of the couple if they are having problems. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started with with this. This is what we call the 9-star key, looking at what energy you will be working with in 2021. And we'll go through each number and talk about the energy of your year this year in 2021. Okay. So first we have we'll start with 1, principle number 1. So if you did your calculation and you got 1, in 2021, you will be in the year of recognition. So I'm going to let's have Rosalie start and tell us a little bit. And then Laura, you both of you conversate.
Converse gladly. Well, the way I like to look at it is the energy of the house that you're in, as you mentioned, was recognition. And also the 5-element relationship between that position and your number. So from a position of recognition, it's one of the highest positions on the Bagua. It's the most visible. It's often the enemy, the element of fame, relates to how you're seen in the world, how you see yourself, how you put yourself in the world. So it's a really powerful, powerful place to be. However, if you're a number 1, you're a water person, and the location of recognition is fire. And as we know in the 5-element system, water puts out fire. So this could be an exhausting year for the person who's water, trying to keep the fire from becoming rampant, right? So what you need to know is, yes, you're going to have a lot of recognition, but you need to take care of yourself if you're that one water person.
That's me. I'm a one water.
Yeah,
I'm a one water. Yeah.
Now, the other thing, let me just say this quickly, is if you have any doubts about what a year might be like for you, just look back, if you can remember, 9 years ago. Where were you? Was that a point in time when you got your MBA, or you got some other certification? Was it a year of high praise? And how did you feel, through that year? How healthy were you? How did you manage it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
a one
Laura.
water, so I guess it's going to be good. I see it as like good and bad. So it's nice coming out of the stillness, going into the visibility. I guess there's lots of potential for recognition and visibility, but it might be a little bit tiring. I might get a little tired.
And you make a good point, because you've just come out of the house of water, which is still and quiet. It's like a shock sometimes, really, to go from one very, very quiet, wintry kind of energy to suddenly it's summer, you're in full bloom. I like to think of it in terms of the seasons. Everybody's out and about, the parks are full, the beaches are full, high energy. So the biggest thing is to, yes, we want you to use that energy. It's a gift that you're being given, but take care of yourself.
I love that. Well, one other thing for all of you to know, and this goes for all the numbers, that the transition, just like the seasons, it's not like suddenly on February 4th, you shift into that year. It's a slow transition that's already been happening for the last few months. But the official transition to the official transition for the 9-star key is on February 4th. And I love how about 3 weeks ago, Laura was like, let's start doing the podcast every week. So she was getting all ready for more recognition, right? More fire.
Getting ready to be in the spotlight more.
Yeah,
that's right.
Actually, that's true. I usually feel the shift somewhere in December. And it gets stronger as we get to January. So you're right, Angie. It doesn't just all of a sudden happen on February 4th or 5th.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. So if your principal number is 2, so actually Laura and I are both married to 2s.
Oh, that's interesting.
So in 2021, if your principal number is 2, you will be in the year of planning. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, planning. It's not an exciting year, but it's a necessary year, because you've just come out of even quieter, and I like to think of it as you've planted the seed, and over the next, so this is your planting year, getting things prepared, making sure you're ready, maybe not doing anything big and exciting, but getting all your ducks in a row. That's sort of what I see this. What do you think, Rosalie?
Exactly. For me, I like to think about ancient China in the winter. It's a perfect way to think about the house of 2, because what's really going on? The farmer can't do any farming. The ground is frozen, it's icy. So this is the time when you retreat, but you plan ahead. You start getting ready for what you're going to do in the springtime. So perfect example.
Yeah, and it reminds me of just actually just coming out of the holidays, right? The holidays is very much this feeling of the 2-year, or sorry, the 1 year, the winter year, where everything quieted down, and even if you wanted to get things done, things weren't going to be happening because no one else is working, right? So you just have to embrace it. Okay, so in general, a 2-person should just
well, let's look at the elements now.
Okay.
2 is earth, and the location that the 2 is going to be in is 1 water. Now, what does earth do to water? What's the relationship between earth and water? The earth is going
it's going to be difficult. Well, it's going to get tired, right?
It's very similar to what we talked
Mhm.
about in your number one star. Yeah, because it's going to keep trying to control the water. It's going to drain the earth. So yeah. So again, you got to take care of yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to principle number 3. So in 2021, if you're a number 3, you will be in the year of germination.
Well, I'll take that since I'm a number 3, and I am sure as heck ready to germinate. So the house of germination is an earth house, right? And 3 is wood. So the thing about, so if you think about it as the one house was, like we said, on the farm planning, this location is more like the baby has been born, but is still not fully grown. It's maybe still in the nursery, maybe it's still learning. Next year is their coming out year. So this could be a very tenuous place. It could be a quiet place. It could be, see, what else can I think of when I think about that? Because my mind goes right to, you're really not free yet. You know, you're still in this sort of a box waiting to be sprung free. So it's sort of where any number, mine in particular, say is 3, it's not going to be able to reach its full potential because it's germinating still, right? So it's going to be kind of quiet. It could be a little challenging sometimes for people in this house if they're a high energy kind of person. Did you want to add anything to that, Laura?
Well, I also think back to the position, the 3 wood position too. I mean, it's germination, but there is a starting something part of it. So something is like I like to think of the sprout. It's sort of that it's just under the surface and it's just going to start to break through. So, ideas, there's like a germinating idea. So just to give people something, yes, it's going to be still on the quiet side, but percolating those ideas and those things that you want to do, this is a good time to start to really think about that sort of stuff.
And what you reminded me of is this is the time in, say you had a business idea, you might have planned it last year when you were in the house of 1, but now you're starting to put the pieces together. And not only putting the pieces together, this is where you can reach out to others to find out what their feedback is. What do they think of this? Test out your ideas. Figure out how you're going to manage this company, because next year it's going to explode. It's going to be out there. So that's a very good point. Thank you.
Good reminder for you, Rosalie, Miss 3.
Yes. It's kind of, 3 is a very exciting place to be, but when you're the house of 3, because it's got so much energy, but when you are a 3 and you're in the house of 3, oh my.
Lots.
So let's just think about, let's see. So we have the tree. 3 is the tree, it's wood. Okay. And the house that we're in is the house of germination. And what's the element there?
Wood.
Wood in an earth year.
Yeah.
So my wood, what is it like? What's the relationship between earth and wood?
So wood has to push through the earth. So it's a little bit challenging. You have to, but wood is able to aerate and push through any kind of stuckness of the earth. And at the same time, the earth provides some nourishment for the wood, like the roots grow in the earth and receive their nourishment from the earth. So it also gives you a place to stand and gets you a little bit grounded and slows you down, even though you want to be all over the place.
So in the terminology of the 5 elements, the wood is controlling the earth. Now, that word control is funny, and I'm glad you brought out both aspects of it, because on the one hand, yes, the wood is breaking through the earth and separating it, but in this, like the way you see the roots of a tree going into the earth, but at the same time, it's aerating the earth, so it's not all bad. But I've never done it in this sequence before, and I just realized something. So far, every number that we've talked about, 1, 2, and 3, is in a house that has energy that it controls. I said the water controls the fire. From the one water controls the fire. The 2 earth controls the water house that it's in. And now the 3 wood is controlling the earth that it's in. I had never seen that before. I never realized that before. So that's an interesting cycle to go through, where your number is always in a position of having to take care of yourself. Don't overdo it. You might be worn out, kind of thing. But I like the way you described it, that the earth gives the tree someplace to stand. And the tree, yes, it uses up all the nutrients from the earth to grow, but what it gives back to the earth is keeps it more fertile.
Yeah, a student was describing it like binding. It binds earth. Okay, we got to move on. Let's move on to number 4. In 2021, if your number is 4, you will be in the year of sprouting.
Mm-hmm. So then it's taking that idea, and that idea is coming to fruition, right? It's the new beginning. It's pushed through, and now it's growing. And so all those ideas there, you can start to really cultivate them and turn them into actual projects. And so if you're a 4, and you're in this sprouting, this is big, right? Because it's a lot of wood, right, Rosalie?
From one perspective, they understand one another, because 4 is wood and the house it's in is wood. So it isn't like you're in a foreign element, or an element that's trying to control you. It's your own nature. However, the 3 is a much more active number. The 3 is always starting and stopping and starting and stopping. We have a million ideas. They just don't stop coming. All of them don't come to fruition. But the truth is, when you're in that house, there's going to be a lot of ideas too. Now, it may be a little hard for the 4, only because the 4 is a little bit more, what's the word I want to use? It's not as crazy as 3. And I say that being a 3, right? The 4 is calmer, it's quieter. So a person who's a 4 might find a little bit of a challenge in this house. But just know, this is my experience, and so I can't guarantee this, but my experience is, if a million ideas come at you, you can't deal with all of them. But don't worry about it. You'll pick and choose, and that energy will continue into the next year. So I think this is more of a year of letting the ideas flow, letting things come to you. And you'll end up keeping the ones that are right. And don't worry if something passes by, because this growth energy is going to continue. So that's the way I would look at it. And it's the first time that a number is not trying to control the house that it's in. Hallelujah. Having to.
Okay, so all right, let's move on to 5. 5 is, if your principal number is 5, you're going to be in the house of rapid growth for 2021.
And that's wood, right? So it's a 5 going into, again, that wood year, that growth. But I always like to think of it as more stable growth. Exactly. You're growing, your sprout is becoming a stronger tree, but it is definitely a bigger growth, because it's obviously now, active. It's, no longer just this little seedling. It's like full growth.
And like you said, it's slow, steady growth. But the pace is much easier. Well, I think of it as a redwood tree. How long does it take a redwood tree to grow an inch? It takes a very long, and those trees have been out there for hundreds and hundreds of years to reach that. So it'll be like the time when all those millions of ideas that came to you last year will be sorted out, and the ones that are more valid will be able to continue on in this growth phase. Now, what about the elements though?
So a 5 and a 4. So you got the earth in the wood here. So that is tiring.
Well, it's similar to
No, that's
the
controlling.
3. It's similar to the 3. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's controlling.
same.
Well, it is, but in this case,
Mm,
the number is not controlling the
yeah,
location.
Oh,
The
right. It's the other
location
way
is
around.
the other way around. Yeah.
controlling the number, right? But luckily, 5 is a very strong number. It's a very powerful number. So I would, again, just, everybody's different. But just anybody who maybe have some health issues or whatever, just be kind to yourself. There's a lot of good that can come out of this without you trying to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be natural. It's just a natural flow of energy. So
Okay. So now if your principal number is 6 in 2021, you will be in the year of fluctuation. And if you don't know already, I'm a 6.
Mm-hmm. And this is the year where you switch over to energies shift. And I always sing it as a time that can be chaotic is a strong word, but it can have some ups and downs, a little bit of upheaval. But I always say that if you start something in a 5 and in the 5 year, a fluctuation, that middle position year, you really great things can come out of whatever you start, but you have to be really careful because it can be a little bit volatile, right, Rosalie?
right. I used to joke around when we used to do these health fairs. I would say to somebody, when my number goes into the center, I feel like a teenager all over again with my hormones thrusting me in a million directions at once. And I don't know which way to go. It's either that or I'm standing on a boogie board and I have no stability. Somewhere it's going to make you make a shift. And again, like I used to like to talk about based on sports, it's like when I used to ski, if your ski is flat on the snow, you can't make a turn. It's the rest, it's the ground is going to stop the ski from turning. But if you're on a mogul and your feet are on the top of the mogul, you can switch any which way in a minute. So it's going to be that kind of energy where you may think one thing is happening and the next minute something totally different comes up. And it would be unexpected. I was in the house of 5 earth going into 6 metal when I learned that I was going to be taking over my teacher's teachings. I mean, I was perfectly happy to be his teaching assistant. I had no idea what was happening, but the very last month of that year, suddenly my whole life changed. It's like that kind of stuff. It's life-changing.
And just to keep on the theme, because we've done it for a lot of others. So a 6, so you've got a metal going into an earth. That's actually good, right? Because it's supported by the energy of earth being supported by the metal. That's 6. So,
so
still fluctuation, but as a little bonus of some support there, right?
Exactly. So the house location is earth and it feeds the metal of the number 6. So Angie's going to have a better time this year than probably you or I. Yeah, the location of her number is being supported.
You guys can hang out with me more.
I know you're always willing to share.
Well, you're going to be in the 5, so you're going to be in a big change year, and I'm going to be in the 9. Those are some big movement in those years. Just
Oh
saying.
my gosh, we're all across the top. Look at this. Angie's going to be in the position of 4. You're in the position of 9, and I'm going to be in the position of 2.
I'm in the position of 5.
She's in the middle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Yeah, and I'm in the 9, and you're in the 5.
You guys are all rotating around me right now.
As we always do, Ange.
Just kidding. No, I'm looking forward to the 5-year. I think a lot of things become clear, and it's a good transition.
Mm-hmm.
And just to know, it may take the whole year for you to know what's going to happen, right? There'll be a lot going on during the year, but like I can take from my own example, I had no clue that I was going to be teaching in this program until the very, very, very end of that year. So.
Okay, so next is if your principal number is 7 in 2021, you will be in the year of prosperity.
Right. So 7 metals going into another metal year, the year of prosperity, which I always like to think of it as the boss year, the year where, you've worked pretty hard. You're starting to become an authority in what you've been doing or working on. And now you can reap the rewards and at least get recognized or, start to feel like you've accomplished something. So, and you're seen as, sometimes even seen as, an expert in that area. There's that kind of, you get recognized for that. That's how I see it.
Absolutely, because the 7 is the 4th year in a row of major growth. It all started in the house of 3. There was rapid growth in 4. There was fluctuation in 6, and now in 7, in the house of, I'm sorry, in the Tai Chi was fluctuation, and in the house of 6 is where it all comes together. So now you've been seen as that authority. Again, using me as an example, suddenly the students look to me as an authority. I'm like, what? I just started, wait. but it was true that it's a solid, steady energy. And for 7, it's metal, and that's good. And I think, well, I have to think about it and see if I have any examples on it. But the 7 is more a happy-go-lucky kind of number. It may feel a little constricted in being in the 6 metal, which is much more of the authority, the person who knows how to run things, the person in control, the CEO, that kind of stuff. So that might be a little bit of a problem, but certainly from a 5-element perspective, you're supported during that year.
Okay, so 8. If your principal number is 8 in 2021, you will be in the year of celebration.
Mm-hmm. So this is an 8 earth. If you're 8 earths, you're going into celebration, which is a 7 metal, yin metal. So and yin metal is a beautiful, lovely, joyful time. It's I always think of it as a time to reflect. So you've been recognized for your big boss doing awesome things, and now you've gone through that, and now you can sit back and imagine yourself putting your feet up and just thinking about what you've accomplished. Really, it's kind of a year to just relax and have fun. That's what I think of it.
And what I like about the philosophy that you get from even just talking about this is that once you've put in all this work, a lot of us, certainly in the United States, they're ready right away to turn around and start something new. No, you need to stop and celebrate. This is considered the harvest. So, the grapes are all in, they're going to be made into wine. It's time to celebrate. Or I think of Lucille Ball in that crazy scene she had where she was stomping on the grapes in Europe, it's time to party. It's time to have fun. You did the work. So now you got to give yourself a chance to let it all solidify before you go on to the next thing. And again, here, the location of celebration is metal, and the number, actually the 8 earth number, could be drained a little because it's feeding the metal. Earth feeds the metal. So there's a little bit of that. And I think it's almost like it's hard for people who are going to all of a sudden stop. So that alone could be a challenge, but it's a good one to have.
Okay, and then last but not least, if your principal number is 9, in 2021, you will be in the year of stillness.
So this is 8 earth. It's it's not to confuse people. Stillness. So it's an earth. It's yang earth. I just came out of this year. It is quiet. It is about, I always like to think of it about going up the mountain, sitting on top of the mountain, and taking stock of what that all was, and realizing that this is the time of calm. You have to prepare yourself because next year is going to be more visible. So it's a good year to spend time on self-cultivation, meditation, self-care, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes, I think we're lucky that we've been so familiarized now with Asian culture. So we know how to meditate, we know how to be quiet. Otherwise, this house can sometimes be very challenging because you really are going, first of all, the mountain also represents the fact that you're being blocked. You can't move forward. You have to go up to the mountain. You have to deal with whatever's coming up in your life and work on it so that when you get into the house of recognition, I used to like to say, people see you glowing rather than seeing you with all your zits on your face, right? So you need to do the work here. it's important work, it can be a little bit challenging just because of the quietness and the fact that we want to do things, we want to accomplish stuff, and sometimes you just can't do it when you're on the mountain.
Yep. You got to lean into that.
Now,
Yep,
here's another
okay.
one where the number 9 is fire, and
Right.
feeds the earth of the mountain.
Right.
So again, the person who's a number 9, take care of yourself this year. Don't push yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for doing all the work on this.
You're welcome. No problem.
Well, you invited 2 Italians to chat with each
Yeah.
other, and we did.
There you
I
go.
love it. I love it. So just as a wrap up, just remember that each year holds a lot of promise and positive energy for all of us. And even if the year ahead seems challenging, remember that great things, great learning and a lot of movement and a lot of growth can come from challenges and difficulty. And if you're interested in learning more about the 9-star key, one day Rosalie is going to do a special class for us. We just have to keep nudging her. And but keep listening to the Holistic Spaces podcast. You can sign up for a consultation with one of our consultants or Laura or myself and learn more about your 9-star key. And take a peek at the blog too, because we'll have this on our blog all written out, so it's easier to digest if you work better that way. And also we have like our reset course and other things to give you ideas on how to really bring in this lunar new year of the metal ox. So regardless of your number or your zodiac animal, remember, please take care of yourself through this year of the metal ox. And a great way to do that is to start off by getting a 3-dimensional rat charm to carry with you at all times. Not a real rat, like a rat figurine, or you can hang out with a rat, like Laura's a rat. We're going to hang out with her a lot. And but we have them at the Holistic Spaces store, and these 3-dimensional rat charms will help to protect and support you in this year of the metal ox. Since the rat is the ox's best friend, you can be in the good graces of the year by carrying this charm. So happy Lunar New Year. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Holistic Spaces podcast. We're now on YouTube, if you didn't know, so you can see us behind the scenes. And we're here every Monday now for a new podcast episode. And actually, the next episode will be our Feng Shui and Astrology podcast with Christina Wingeier. So I hope you guys will enjoy that new offering we have. If you like our new podcast and this episode, please share it with others, subscribe, leave a review. You can also explore the world of holistic spaces and mindful design on an even deeper level by visiting our websites. Our websites are listed on the show notes. It's mindfuldesignschool.com and holisticspaces.com. And a great way to support the podcast is to check out our courses, our mini courses and certifications at mindfuldesignschool.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.